Hello and welcome everyone. I welcome you all to this lecture, which is one of the part of the GNS3 installations. Now, in the previous video, we've seen how to install the GNS3 desktop version client, which is already here. Now, in this lecture, I will be showing you multiple options of installing the GNS3 VM and integrating it with the GNS3 desktop. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So first thing you need to do is you should have already the GNS3 installation here. I will open the GNS3 desktop and we will give this some time so that the server's summary is initialized and you will see the desktop server here and not the GNS3 VM. Second thing is to install the GNS3 VM, right? We need the VM, we need to download the VM. Okay, so let me go here and let's say I will say GNS3 VM, right? So GNS3 VM, you need to go to the software GNS3 website. Now here you can see we have the desktop this here, and I will open a recent project. You can see desktop is green and the GNS3 VM is in the red status, right? It means it's not able to locate it. So multiple things here. You can install it on the Virtualbox, you can install on the VMware ESXi, you can install it on the Microsoft Hyper-V. Now make sure if you are running Hyper-V, then this either one can be run. Either one can be utilized, either the Hyper-V or VMware ESXi. If you have the Hyper-V enabled, VMware ESXi is not going to run on your VMware Workstation basically is not going to run on your Windows system. Now I will show you the Virtualbox and the VMware Workstation, and also in the subsequent lesson we will see how to deploy this on your VMware ESXi. But in this section we will see Virtualbox and VMware Workstation deployment, or even you can use the VMware player, right? So first thing, let's download the Virtualbox file here, GNS3 VM, and this is around 1.49 gigabytes, and I will keep this on download. And if I go back to my client, I can see this is running on the desktop. I will just delete this. Good. And now let's go on here and wait for this to be downloaded. I will just pause the video and come back when this is completed. Okay, now the file has been downloaded. So let's go to the folder. So you will have something like this, a zipped file. You can just extract it using any extractor like WinRAR, WinZip, 7-zip, or you can just extract. Okay, so you will be able to extract OVA file. That is what you want. And you should have the Virtualbox installed in your system. If you don't have that, you can just go and download it. It's free. Oracle Virtualbox, let's say for Windows, and you go here to the virtualbox.org, and then you download it from the download section and say Windows host, and you can download it. I already have this downloaded, and you just follow the simple steps to install it. I have this in my system, which is Virtualbox, Oracle Virtualbox here. Okay, so once you need to have this. There are two ways now to basically import the VM inside the Virtualbox manager. Either you go here and right click and say open with, and then choose Virtualbox manager, or you go here and say import, and you choose that file that you extracted. So it should be in the downloads, and it should be inside the compressed, compressed, and here, and now this. So you choose it, next, then you will see this is basically a template. So it will have the the resources aligned to it like this, and then you can just go and hit on finish. Now to change, I would suggest you to keep this as is, as default, and we can change it later. So I'll just click on finish, and this will start importing the appliance into your Virtualbox manager. You can see the status of the importing appliance here. Now right now it's on 1%. Now let's wait for this to complete and then we can move forward with the tutorial. Okay, seems the VM has been imported successfully here. Now right now it's in a power off state and you can change the settings here. You want to see the general settings, click on any of the, or you can just click on settings while the virtual machine is selected here. You can click on settings and it'll land up here, or um, you can just click on any one here and it will land up into you to the same settings page. Right now let's start with the general. In the general you can change the name and the type of system, keep it as default as Linux. In the advanced you can have where the snapshot folder is, right. So in case you take a snapshot, where it will be saved, it will be saved in the admin, Virtualbox VM, GNS3 VM and the snapshot. You can have a description here if you want, and the encryption if you want to enable it, you can, right. I don't want to. Now in the system settings you can go and allocate more CPU or RAM to this virtual machine. So let's say I want to allocate a 4 GB of RAM, and basically that's the motherboard, base memory, yeah, and then the processor. If you want to assign, it will show you how much of virtual CPUs your host has. Mine has a max of 8. I can assign say 4 to this VM, and then acceleration is what needs to be enabled, which is by default. Now this should be enabled on your BIOS as well. So if it is not, you can go into your BIOS setting and enable virtualization there. Now it's just about display and all. Then you have the storage, which you should not touch. Audio, keep it default. Network is one of the important things, and this is the first adapter which is what is needed here, and it is host only adapter, right. You can do it as say NAT or something, but I will keep as host only adapter. You can have the second adapter as NAT, third and fourth is not used, so I would like you to keep this as default. Serial port, USB, everything should be as is, and click on OK. So what we did, we changed the system RAM and the processors that we have assigned or allocated to this VM. Now we have 4 GB of RAM and 4 vCPUs for this, right. Now next thing you need to do is just start the appliance. Yeah, you can do that, or else you can go to the, now right now you can see it's still in red, right. So what you need to do is here you go and click on edit and preferences, and now on the GNS3 VM you have to enable the GNS3 VM. Obviously this should be checked, and then from the drop down here, what virtualization engine that you are using, you have to select it. For example, in our case right now is Virtualbox, so select that and it will basically search your system and it will pull the VM on the Virtualbox, which is on this Virtualbox we have only one VM, which is the GNS3 VM, and it has basically searched for it. Now port is 80 by default. I would say keep it as is. Now here also you can basically change the vCPUs if you want, and automatically this does an API call to the VM here, and it can change the CPU allocation here. For example, we have from here in the general I think in the system we can go and see that I have sent 4 GB of RAM, but when you go here it has 8 GB, so this will be taken as priority, right. Okay, now action when closing GNS3. So when you close the GNS3, what would happen to the GNS3 VM? Should it also be stopped, suspended, or should we keep it running? So the best option is to stop the GNS3. That means if you are stopping the GNS3 client, desktop client, that means you are almost done with the job. Or else if you want to keep it running, you can do that and manually shut the VM down. So I prefer to do this and apply and OK. When I do OK, it will do an API call and it should start the VM here. Let's see what happens. Now you can see here it is basically showing that GNS3 VM is starting, right. Let's see if it is able to do that. Now yeah, you can see the status changing to starting. So that was an API call done by the GNS3 desktop to the Virtualbox manager, and which led to starting the GNS3 VM. Now once this is started, you would see this basically talking to the GNS3 VM here. Now let's wait and let the software do the job, right? Now if I remember, I see that this is running on 3080 and we have the port 80 there, so let's see, or you can change the port there. Not here basically. So if I go here, it is still in. So I can go here, say edit preferences, GNS3 VM, and I can say okay, cool. So this is green, right? So that means now we have the GNS3 VM running. And how I can see this is when we do this. So for example, when we go and say edit preferences and say add a file, let's say I will add a chemo VM and say new, and now when I click on here, it is basically allowing you to go and run it, right? Let's say v and next, and now you are able to use the GNS3 VM to add a image into it. Now just to test this, I will add a Cisco viral image here. Next I will add this as Cisco L3 as the name. Okay, copy. Next, and I will keep this as, say, this should be 512 or 1 GB, or I can say 1024, it would be 1 GB. Next, and then what kind of console type you need, you can change it from here, say telnet, VNC, so I'll prefer telnet. Next, and then the image, right? So I'll go and browse the HDA file, right? So I have the chemo HDA. So for example, let's go for this one, and I will show you how to download these files, but for now, just for testing, I have a HDA file. I don't know, is this a Cisco ASA or was this a Cisco L3? We'll come to know. And then apply and hit OK. Now when I go here, I should have the Cisco L3. That's what we just added. Now if you want to change the symbol, you can just click on configure and go here, and let's add a router, what do you say, symbol here, right? Let's wait for this. So you need to be patient. Once you see this localhost trying to contact the VM. Now here I want to see a router. I saw a router, yeah. So this one, click on OK and OK. Now we can just drag and drop this here and start the console. Now this is running on your GNS3 VM and not on the GNS3 the desktop server, right? Anyways, you cannot run chemo on the desktop server. So let's double click and see. Oh, this is an ASA image. So yeah, that doesn't matter, the naming doesn't matter. Basically the image is ASA, so that means I have added an ASA here, and you can see it is getting started. So that is the way how you add the GNS3 VM using the Virtualbox manager. Now we can do the same thing and add this onto a GNS3 VM, and also you can do this on the GNS3 the workstation player, right? So I can go and download the VMware Workstation player, which is again a free version. Now Workstation Pro is not free. I mean, you do have an evaluation, I think 60 days or 30 days, but this is like, player is like absolutely free, so you can just try Workstation 17 player for Windows, and you can just click on that and it will download the player. Now I have to wait for this to be downloaded, and then I can continue with the setup. Till then, what I can do is I can check here. Okay, it is booting up, and on the other hand, what I can do is I can go and deploy the same VM, right? So I will just go here, and I want to see the GNS3 has been stopped, is it? Okay, let me just see what happened here for the GNS3 network issue. Well, I'll just close this, and I will kind of close this, and let's say I will go to the preferences, GNS3 VM. Wait a second for this one. GNS3 VM and I want to change this to workstation player, right? And it will automatically pull up the VMs inside my workstation. I have a workstation. Let's deploy the VM on the workstation this time, and then we will continue with the player later, right? So I need to go to the downloads. Basically, I have this in my downloads in the compressed. So you remember this one, right? So I think the same OVA is going to be sufficient. So I do have the player also, so I can go to the workstation. So I'm just clicking on the workstation. That means I can open this OVA file in my workstation like this. This is one way you can do it, or you can go to the open also you can do, yeah. So from if you do open, this should have the uh, OVA file, yeah. So you can double click and it will again take you the same import virtual machine option, right? So once you're here, you can basically choose the path where you want to install the VM. So by default it goes to the documents virtual machine, and then the name of the folder will be GNS3. Let me just click on import, and it will start importing the OVA file inside your. Okay, so did not pass the OVA specification. Okay, that means the OVA file is not going to work on the workstation. So you need to download this again from the website of GNS3. So it has a separate section to download the VMware Workstation file, which will work with the Pro as well as the player. And okay, let's keep this on the download, and I will come back once the download is finished. So we have two downloads. One is the VMware player and then the workstation, and then this file is going to work on both the player and the workstation. So let's wait for this, and I will resume the video once this file has been downloaded.
Okay, so the file for the GNS3 VM for VMware Workstation Pro and Player, both it has been downloaded, and we'll go to the folder basically here. I will just delete this extracted file which we used to install it on the Virtualbox. Now I'll go here on the VMware Workstation file and right click and extract it to the folder called the same name, right? GNS3 VM VMware Workstation, so that we can differentiate it from the other one. Anyways, I don't have the other one right now extracted, so there should not be any confusion right now. So I see this also is an OVA file, but when we tried to deploy this the other one on the VMware Workstation, that didn't work. So we have downloaded the particular file which is meant to be um, imported in VMware Workstation Player as well as Pro. So let's go and extract this on the import this on the workstation first, right? So I can name this as GNS3 1 or GNS3 VM, right? And try to import, and it says it's already there because last time we tried, and that means that in the documents and inside the what virtual machines you should have this file, and I'll go and delete this. Okay, great. Now I'll go and import this back. Now it will start importing the VM to my VMware Workstation, and later we will also do the import on the VMware Workstation Player. Now Player and Pro has a lot of difference. Player is basically free. Pro is has a version evaluation version for 30 days, I guess, but it has more advanced features as compared to the player. But for you and me to run GNS3 VM, anything is fine. You can work with the Virtualbox, you can work with the VMware Workstation Player, and if you have the license for the Workstation Pro, that is much better. But yeah, so let's wait for this to import, and then I will continue with my lecture. Okay, now I can see that I have a GNS3 VM here. Now I will not change any settings from here. It says the memory is 2 GBs, the processor is 1. Instead, I'll go to the web client this time and go to the edit and preferences, and under the GNS3 VM I will select VMware Workstation, and if I hit a refresh, I should see the GNS3 VM here. Nice. And let's keep this as default, or I can have the port 3080, and then I can have this changed here, right? So I have 4 vCPUs and 8 GB RAM here. Apply and OK. Okay, I can just go here and do this again. And I think I need to do this. Apply and OK. Yeah. Okay, so now this should again call the API and start the VM inside the GNS3 the workstation, right? So from the GNS3, there's a API call to the GNS to the workstation VM, and it gets started. Okay, and once this is started, the GNS3 VM here should turn green. So we will have to wait for this. If I go back to my virtual machine and check the status, it is still starting. It has not initialized. And we're almost there, and it has I think initialized. If I do and click here, no, still, yeah. So this is initialized. If I go to my client and I see this as green, so now let's go and again do the edit preferences and try to import the QEMU file here, which was basically this is on the, not on this one, this was on the Virtualbox new, and say on the GNS3 VM next, and say this is ASA, and next, and now I know this is the ASA, right? So I'll say 1024 or say 2048 just to be safe. Next, telnet, image, new image, browse, SDA. Okay, it's uploading to the GNS3 VM. Basically it is uploading on the VM here. Okay, and then hit on finish. Once this is done, it'll take some time. Yeah, now let's finish, apply and OK. Now I should have the AC here. Again, configure template, change the symbol to something presentable, right? Okay, affinity blue, and I'll say a firewall, right? So I'll do this, OK and OK. Now I have the AC firewall here, and I should have a new blank project, or I can have the recent test, right? Yeah, so I have the AC here this time. Let's say I will start this, and I'll double click on that so that the console opens, and I see that the ASA 9.1.5, this is not an ASAV, so it is getting started. Okay, so that was the installation of GNS3 VM on the VMware Workstation Pro. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.